Hello class, this is Mr. Biddle and welcome to another digital input. Today we're going to be talking about Hinduism. First we're going to begin by talking about the origins of this religion, some of the core beliefs of Hinduism, and then how the caste system really helps to perpetuate their belief system. So Hinduism is a very old religion, so old that it began really before recorded history. No single person founded it. It developed slowly over a long period of time. Now in the 2nd millennium BCE, people called the Aryans migrated into northern India, pictured here on this map. Now some historians credit the Aryans with bringing elements of what later would become Hinduism into India. Others believe that traces of Hinduism can also be found in ancient artifacts left behind in Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. Either way, it's really difficult to say where and when Hinduism began. We can talk about the Vedas, because the Vedas offer historians a primary source that really helps to describe the early Hindu religion. So early Hindu religion is actually called Vedism. The Vedas, pictured here, are a collection of sacred texts including verses, hymns, prayers, and teachings composed in the Sanskrit language. Now Veda is Sanskrit for knowledge. Initially the Vedas were taught orally for hundreds of years before India had a written form of language like Sanskrit. Vedic rituals and sacrifices honored a number of deities associated with nature and social order. Over time, these rituals became more and more complex. A class of priests and religious scholars called Brahmins grew increasingly important because only they knew how to interpret the Vedas and correctly perform the rituals. Now, modern-day Hinduism is very complex. Many beliefs, many forms of worship, and many deities exist side by side, but all Hindus share certain beliefs. The Vedas still remain sacred to Hindus today. Along with later sacred texts, the Vedas lay out the basic beliefs of Hinduism. And as you will see, these beliefs have influenced every part of India today. So let's talk about the core beliefs of Hinduism. Now, Hinduism is clearly a polytheistic religion. Historians estimate that there are over 330 million Hindu deities that exist. That's a lot. Now, in ancient times, the most popular and powerful deity was Indra. Indra was the god of thunder. He was fiercely warlike. He used lightning bolts as weapons. The Vedas even describe him driving a gold chariot across the sky and riding a magnificent white elephant. Now today, the most important deities are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, also called the Trinity. Each deity controls one aspect of the universe. Brahma creates it, Vishnu preserves it, and Shiva destroys it. Dharma is a very important idea in Hinduism. Dharma stands for law, obligation, and duty. To follow one's dharma means to perform one's duties, and so to live as one should. As you have already heard, in the Vedas, each social class or varna has its own duties. These duties usually involve a certain type of work. Each class then has its own dharma or duty. In fact, Hindus called their system of social classes varna dharma. This means the way of one's kind. Hindus believed that when everyone followed their dharma, the society would be in harmony. Now, the belief of dharma expresses much of what Hindus believe about the right way to live. Another belief, karma, explains the importance of living according to your dharma. Now, in Hindu belief, the law of karma governs what happens to people's souls after death. From ancient times, Hindus believed that the soul had many lives. When a person died, his or her soul would be reborn into a new body. But what type of body would the reborn soul get? Well, the answer really depended on the soul's karma. Let me try to simplify this. Karma was made up of all the good and evil that a person had done in past lives. If people lived well, they might be born into a higher class in the next life. If they lived badly, they could expect to be reborn into a lower class. They might even be reborn as animals. Finally, let's talk about samsara. Now, as you've learned, Hindus believed in a continuous cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. They called this cycle samsara. As long as people are a part of samsara, they will know pain and death. Samsara ends when the soul escapes from the cycle of rebirth and is united with Brahman, the supreme force of the universe. Now, it takes many, many lifetimes before a person can be released from samsara. People escape the cycle of rebirth or reincarnation by following the basic beliefs of Hinduism. They balance their karma with good actions. They follow their dharma by behaving correctly and performing their social duties. So as you can see, dharma, karma, and samsara are three essential elements that really help to perpetuate the belief system of the Hindu people. There's one more aspect, though, that we should discuss that also helps perpetuate Hindu belief, and that is the caste system, which is fairly controversial. So Hinduism was not just a religion, in ancient India. It was a way of life, and it affected how Indians lived and what they believed. Now, Brahmanism taught that a well-organized society was divided into social classes. Europeans would later call this the caste system. Now, it was broken up into basically 5 classes. At the top, you had Brahmins, who were your priests and your academics. These were your upper-class scholars. Next, you had your Kshatriyas, who were your warriors and rulers, and they helped to protect and preserve the society. After that, you had your Vaisyas, who were your herders, your merchants, your farmers. These were your working class people. And finally, you would have your Shudras or Sudras, and these were basically servants who would help to serve the Vaisyas, the Kshatriyas, and the Brahmins. There's also one more class that developed over time, and this class was called the Panchama, or the Untouchables. These were people whose jobs or ways of life involved activities that Hindus considered lowly or dirty, such as handling garbage and dead animals. Untouchables often had to live in their own villages or neighborhoods. They couldn't enter temples or attend schools, and actually they would be forced to wear bells so that Hindus could avoid them if they heard them. Now, the caste system affected all aspects of people's lives in India. Indians were born into a certain caste and they could not change it. In addition, people could only marry within their own caste. Now, over centuries, many Hindu teachers criticized this system. They taught that all people, including the Untouchables, the Panchamas, should be treated equally. In the 20th century, the Indian leader Mahatma Gandhi called the Untouchables children of God. Today, Indian law finally protects the rights of all people, and the caste system is much less strict. But the ideas of karma and rebirth still remain a central part of Hinduism, and the caste system helped to perpetuate that. So there you have it, class. Today we talked about the origins of Hinduism, some of the core beliefs, and some of the main deities of Hinduism, and finally, the caste system and how it helped to perpetuate their belief system. Thanks for watching. This is Mr. Biddle, and until next time.